Today, we're going to explore a powerful idea that can change the way you attract women, especially as you get older. And you know what's most interesting? It has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with looks. And it definitely has nothing to do with those cheesy pickup lines you find all over the internet. The truth is, these two words activate something much deeper in the female brain. Something that triggers emotional connection points that most men don't even know exist. And look, I'm going to tell you exactly what these words are. I'll explain the science behind it, but there's a detail that almost no one notices, and it's exactly this detail that separates the men women forget from the men they can't stop thinking about. Stay with me until the end, because this information can completely change the way you communicate. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And when it comes to communication, how you express your desires and appreciation is a reaction that reveals everything about your internal state. If you react with hesitation, you reveal insecurity. If you react with clarity and intent, you reveal self-mastery. And that self-mastery is what makes you unforgettable. Let me tell you something. For years, I've studied thousands of interactions between men and women. And you know what I realized? The men who attract the most aren't necessarily the best looking. They aren't the richest. They're the ones who master one very simple thing: direct emotional communication. While most men are spinning their wheels in empty conversations, trying to please, trying not to offend, the men who really stand out do something radically different. They use two words that act like master keys to the female subconscious. You see, the human brain is hardwired to respond to certain communication patterns. And these two words, when used the right way, create what we call positive emotional anchoring. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your thoughts are colored by hesitation and fear, your communication reflects that. But when your thoughts are colored by clarity and confidence, your words carry weight. And that weight is what she will feel. So, let's go. The first word is I want. It sounds too simple, right? But listen to what happens when a man says, I want, with clarity and confidence. First, he is taking responsibility for his own desires. He's not asking for permission. He's not testing the waters. He is being direct. And here's a secret of female psychology. Women are attracted to men who know what they want. Why? Because it signals leadership. It signals that you are capable of making decisions, that you won't dump the responsibility of choosing onto her shoulders. Think about it with me. When you say, I don't know, maybe we could do something later if you want, what are you communicating? Insecurity, fear of rejection, lack of direction. Now, compare that with, I want to take you out to dinner on Saturday. I know an incredible place. Feel the difference. You aren't begging. You are leading. You are creating an experience. And look, this isn't about being aggressive. It's about being assertive. It's about having the courage to take up space in the world and say, this is what I want. When you do this, you activate something in her brain called sexual polarity. You position yourself as the masculine force that takes initiative and that naturally awakens the feminine side that wants to be led. But here's the dark truth that most men never understand. When you don't know what you want, or when you're too afraid to say it, you become invisible. Not because women are cruel, but because uncertainty is not attractive. It never has been. It never will be. Women are wired to be drawn to certainty, to direction, to a man who can make a decision and stand by it. And when you can't do that, she feels it. She doesn't think about it consciously, but she feels it in her gut. And that feeling is what pushes her away. The second word, and this is the one that changes everything, is I appreciate. Now, pay attention because this is where the magic really happens. If you only use I want, you can seem egocentric. It might seem like you are only interested in taking something from the interaction. But when you combine I want with I appreciate, you create a perfect balance. You show that you are a man of initiative, but also a man of emotional depth. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine you are talking to a woman you are interested in. Instead of just saying, I want to see you again, you say, I want to see you again because I really appreciate the way you think. A conversation with you has a depth that is rare. Do you see what happened? You aren't just expressing desire. You are showing that you see her, that you value who she is as a person, and that my friend is absolutely irresistible. Why? Because most men only compliment appearance. They only focus on the physical, but you are going further. You are acknowledging her essence. And here's the most beautiful part. When you appreciate genuinely, you are choosing her. And women can feel that difference from miles away. Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence on the future." When you express appreciation, you are present. You are not anxiously dependent on her approval. You are simply acknowledging what you value. And that presence is what makes her feel seen. But here's where it gets dark. Most men can't do this. They can't express genuine appreciation because they're too focused on what they want to get from her. They're transactional. They're calculating. And women can smell that from a mile away. When you say, "I appreciate," but you're really thinking, "I want to get you into bed," she knows. She may not say it, but she knows. And it repels her. Because appreciation without sincerity is just manipulation. And manipulation is the opposite of attraction. The true power of "I appreciate" comes from authenticity. It comes from actually noticing something about her that has nothing to do with what she can give you. It's about seeing her as a person, not as a prize. And when you can do that, you become different from every other man she's ever met. If this content is making sense to you, leave a like down below. This shows me that you are really committed to leveling up. Now, let me tell you about the mistake that destroys all of this. The mistake is using these words without congruence. Do you know what congruence is? It's when your body language, your tone of voice, and your words are all aligned. If you say, "I want to take you to dinner," but your shoulders are slumped, you are looking at the floor, and your voice is hesitant, the message doesn't get through. Your body is screaming insecurity while your words are trying to project confidence. And the female brain is extremely sensitive to these incongruities. It's like an emotional lie detector. So, when you say, "I want," you need to be standing tall, looking her in the eyes with your chest open. When you say, "I appreciate," you need to pause, slow down the rhythm of your speech, and let the sincerity show through. Epictetus taught, "No great thing is created suddenly." And the ability to communicate with congruence is no exception. It is created through practice, through awareness, through the willingness to be present. And as you build that congruence, it becomes part of your presence. And that presence is what she will feel. And there's one more crucial thing. Timing. Look, you aren't going to go around saying, "I want" and "I appreciate" in every conversation like a robot. That would be weird. You use these words in strategic moments when you really want to establish intent, when you want to create an emotional memory. For example, at the end of a day that was special, you look in her eyes and say, "I want to do this again. I really appreciate the energy you bring." Done. You just created a positive emotional anchor. Now, every time she thinks of you, she'll remember that sensation of being seen, valued, and desired all at the same time. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you can communicate with clarity and intent, you are exercising that power. You are not letting fear control your words. You are standing in your own truth. And that truth is what makes you unforgettable. So, here is what I want you to take away from this. Communication is not about saying the right thing. It's about saying the true thing. It's about being honest about what you want and honest about what you value. And when you can do that, you become a man of substance. A man of substance is a man who cannot be ignored. He doesn't need to chase. He doesn't need to beg. He simply is. And that presence is what attracts women. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus also taught, "No great thing is created suddenly." And the ability to communicate with clarity and intent is no exception. It is created through practice, through self-awareness, through the willingness to be honest. And as you build that ability, it becomes part of your presence. And that presence is what she will be drawn to. Use this wisely. Use it with integrity. See you next time. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you cultivate thoughts of clarity, confidence, and genuine appreciation, your soul reflects that. And women will see it, they will feel it, and they will be drawn to it. Because in a world of men who are afraid to say what they want, a man who can speak with clarity and presence is a rare and precious thing. Be that man. Build that life. And watch how everything changes.